So yeah, first of all, thanks so much for taking the time to join us. My name's Georgie. I'm the 5K Away operational manager. For those of you who don't know about 5K Away, we're an initiative provided by Move Charity, a support group with a difference for people living with or beyond cancer, their family, friends, healthcare professionals, welcoming everyone at local parkrun events. So far we've got between 50 and 60 5K away groups. We're just working on trying to work out the exact number that want to restart. So obviously we haven't had any of our groups this past year, unfortunately, because of COVID. But this means we've been able to focus a lot more on workshops and things like this. We've also just got, like I mentioned, a 5K away YouTube channel now. We've got loads of great resources on our website. And we've also just launched a podcast, which is super exciting. So if you're interested in listening to that, we've just done an episode with Paula Radcliffe and her daughter Isla, which is really, really cool. So have a listen if you're interested. I think that's kind of enough background. So this workshop's really, really exciting, and huge thanks to Kerry and Steve. Hopefully they can still hear and we can still hear them. If you say hello, Kerry.
Hello.
Excellent. So yeah, we're super excited about this workshop with Active Against Cancer in Harrogate, and about building strength for walking and running in a guide to help you prepare for 5K away or in general for moving against cancer. So thank you so much, Kerry and Steve. They actually emailed me and offered their services. So this is brilliant for us, and we're super excited to hand over to you. So fingers crossed your presentation should all work, and I'll pop myself on mute. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Georgie. Okay. For those of you that know us, you'll also know that when technology doesn't want to work, but I have faith. Okay, so as Georgie said, we are the two of the staff here at Active Against Cancer. So my name is Kerry Archer, and I'm the cancer specialist physiotherapist that works here at Active Against Cancer. I am also an ambassador for 5K Your Way at Harrogate, and I know that there's a couple of names on the call who are also ambassadors. And as we've just been chatting, really looking forward to getting back to parkrun. I am joined by my colleague.
Hi, I'm a socially distanced Steve Henwood, and I'm the lead physical trainer at Active Against Cancer. I'm pleased to be here and looking forward to this.
So first of all, we'd like to thank Georgie for accepting us to come along and talk, and obviously the rest of the team at 5K Your Way. So we're looking at developing this workshop for you, and so we're going to start by giving you a little bit of an overview as today's workshop before I hand you over to Steve. So we're going to give you a little bit of an introduction to our service here at Active Against Cancer. We're then going to talk to you about the cancer-related benefits of strength training. We'll go on to talk about strength training and its relationship to preparing you for your 5K Your Way. Then we've got some videos demonstrating various different exercises, so some techniques and drills, some core and pelvic activation, and some strength. And then to finish with just a few safety points. So I will hand you over to Steve and we'll get cracking. I'm just going to also switch our camera off.
Okay, hi everybody. So we are a community-based, NHS-funded exercise referral service, which is embedded into the Harrogate District Foundation Trust Cancer Pathway. So we're completely inclusive, offering exercise and activity classes to all patients over 18 years old, irrespective of their cancer site, progression of disease, or stage of treatment. So we pride ourselves on delivering exercise and activity sessions using specially trained staff, which are safe, effective, and fun. As I said before, we're embedded within the cancer treatment pathway and receive the majority of our referrals from our clinical nurse specialists at first diagnosis. So all new patients are contacted within 2 working days and offered a one-to-one assessment with either myself or Kerry. From that assessment, we formulate an individualised exercise programme and place the majority of our patients in either prehab, maintenance or rehab classes, dependent on their stage of treatment. So when participating in our services, patients attend according to their stage of treatment. So Get Active classes are our prehab classes. So we attempt to get people, usually inactive patients, up to our World Health Organization levels of exercise. When people start their treatment, they then enter our Stay Active classes, and this is aimed at maintaining and preventing decline in physical function and fitness during treatment. And then once patients have finished their treatment, they enter our More Active classes. So these are our rehab classes. And this is where we get our patients back to their previous levels of fitness, or hopefully even better. And then alongside these classes, we also have some specialist classes. So these are, we run a weekly balance class, which is really important for our patients. We have our own take on yoga and Pilates, which are our active flex and active core classes. We run a once weekly dance class, which I'm glad to see some of those patients are on the call who attend those classes. They're really good fun. And we offer 2 walk and talk sessions a week as well. And these are a really good opportunity for new patients who are entering the service to meet other patients and members of staff. And we also offer one-to-one support in our home-based exercise programs with a really good online resource which we've created from scratch, which really helps patients who don't particularly want to attend classes for whatever reason and want to exercise in the privacy of their own homes. And we can help them do that. And we often use the technology we have here to do virtual online one-to-one sessions. And of course, to coincide with the relaunch of Park Run and 5K Your Way, we've just started an active run session. And that's going to be really the basis of this presentation. So when a patient comes to the end of their rehab program, we then attempt to place them into one of a number of our long-term support groups. We have really good links with Harrogate Borough Council, and we've actually created a specific class for our patients to move on to once they've finished our rehab classes. We've obviously got our links with 5K Your Way, which we want lots of our patients to attempt. We run out of Harrogate Sport and Fitness Centre, and many of our patients have actually joined Harrogate Sport and Fitness Centre as a member, which is really good to see. And now the gym is starting to open, most places are starting to open now. We hope to see more of those patients returning to that pretty much newfound exercise. And also the area where we work from is the home of the Harrogate part of Nordic Walking UK. So we offer those classes as well. So that's enough about us. Sorry, no, it isn't. That's wrong. Forgot about that slide. So current position. So we've assessed here since July the 15th, 2019, Kerry, is that right? Yeah. Over 800 patients. We run over 30 classes per week, and we have now over 250 patient attendances per week. So that's definitely enough about us. So it's all about strength training today. So what are the benefits for cancer and strength training? Well, firstly, strength training will really help you maintain lean muscle mass during anti-cancer treatments like chemotherapy, and will also help you regain lost muscle after treatment and surgeries. Treatment can cause, or cancer treatment specifically, can cause metabolic stress, and this is effectively using your muscle as energy, and so depleting your muscle mass through treatment and using that muscle as an energy source. So the loss in muscle is often caused by a combination of treatments and simply a reduction in activity levels during treatment. So keeping and regaining that muscle is really, really important. So bone is also a living tissue and can also be affected by anti-cancer treatments and inactivity. So think of the bone as the scaffold for your muscles. Both need to be strong in order to maintain good function, which I'll talk about in a moment. And strength training really helps in maintaining good bone mineral density and therefore strong bones. And the action of strength training also helps to keep a strong bond where the muscles attach to the bones. So strength training is really important for weight management also. It's a really positive effect on maintaining a healthy weight. Strength training helps to build and maintain lean muscle, which we've just talked about, so it can speed up your metabolism. In effect, burning calories whilst you're at rest. So help keeping being overweight in check. But also when and if you're underweight, and in combination with the right nutrition, also helps increase weight in a more preferable way. So actually building muscle to gain weight rather than adding fat to your body composition. Now, functionality. Now, you might often hear physical trainers and physical therapists using words like improved functionality. And this really means getting you back to doing the things you do during daily life and sometimes take for granted, but also doing them well and feeling less of a slog. So things like washing the car, doing the DIY, gardening, shopping, housework, running around after the kids and grandkids. So as obvious as it sounds, a result of strength training, it makes you stronger, okay? I know it sounds daft, but it does. Strength training makes you stronger, and combined with other aspects of fitness makes you more capable, more stable and less susceptible to trips and falls. So finally there, we've got fatigue and mood. Often anti-cancer treatments are associated with increased levels of fatigue, and me and Kerry see it on a daily basis. So I'm sure many of you listeners have experienced different levels of fatigue during your treatment. And often this can result in the vicious circle of tiredness leading to inactivity, which creates prolonged fatigue, lowered mood, and then that lesser of an inclination to do anything. And it's really important that we help to try and break this spiral and reverse the effect. So this is actually a slide I've pinched from our website, and it shows really clearly how mood affects activity, but how exercise can break that cycle. And we completely understand that motivation also plays a key role. So having an objective like 5K your way can really, really help you progress. And I'll just pass you over to Kerry.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about strength training and how it's going to impact your 5K your way. So first and foremost, strength training and reducing your risk of injury. So whether you're running or walking your 5K, by repeating movements, you will start to condition your body. By incorporating strength exercises into your training, you will be starting to put the foundations in place on which you can then build on. When starting out with strength training, as with any new exercise, you should always start with low reps or a shorter distance and build on that as you get stronger. We call these stepping stone goals. As you get stronger, you will find that you can increase your reps and sets. Strength training reinforces the muscles, tendons, and ligaments around the joints to aid stability at the joint, thus reducing the risk of injury. It prepares the body for specific activity. By strengthening the muscles that are used in walking and running, they will be primed to work during that action. It reduces the likelihood of a muscle not being able to respond to the action being done, and we call this muscle activation. Strength training develops neural pathways, which are then activated and they prepare for the movement, and we call this conditioning. So the neural pathways help us to develop learned patterns of movement where our body is able to switch on, readying itself for the movement. This will also help to develop things like better balance, therefore reducing your risk of falling and therefore increasing your quality of life by taking away that anxiety. Strength training will also help to correct things like muscle imbalance and improve the overall alignment of your body, thus reducing that risk of injury when you're doing any movements. When we strength train, we stretch and shorten our muscle fibers, and this ensures that the muscles have the range which they need to perform in without causing injury. As a runner and triathlete myself, as Georgie could probably confirm-ish, I wouldn't try and run a marathon without training, and it's therefore important that we strengthen our muscles to therefore meet the demands that we put on them during activity. And basically that means that if you try and go out and do an activity like running or walking 5K without putting any of the groundwork in, you're going to increase your risk of injury. So secondly, improving efficiency. If, like me, you'd like to use the least amount of energy, and whether this is because of your gas and electric at home, or in most cases, our own body energy, strength training is a great way to reduce the amount of energy that's required to do an action or a task. Therefore, you'll find that you're able to walk or run for longer without getting as tired. It improves the effectiveness of the way we do an action, which in turn reduces our risk of injury as well. Strength training will incorporate and activate specific muscles in addition to the relevant movement required by the activity. As we increase the demand that we're placed on muscles through strength training, it will then in turn increase lean muscle and performance. The muscles learn to work together in harmony, take you further with less effort and strength required. You will recover quicker for your 5K your way training, be able to train more, and then so the positive cycle continues. By strengthening your muscles, it will in turn improve their endurance, meaning they will stay stronger for longer during activity. Strong muscles help to reduce the impact and load on joints. By supporting and protecting them, it allows them to absorb the load. So our muscles act as the support system around our skeleton. Correct movement will lower the risk of the joints being loaded incorrectly during movement, which again, as I've already talked about, reduces the risk of injury. By doing that strength training, you're helping to keep your joints healthy. Joints really like to be moved, and when you move your joints, it will help to kind of keep them really healthy, and it's important that you do the exercise to keep them healthy. Strong muscles reduce the load on the other supporting structures, which include cartilage and ligament. So if you imagine 5,000 meters or 5K equates to about 7,000 steps, although in my case, it's more like 9,000 because I've got short legs. But that means that there's an awful lot of shock going through the skeletal system. Strong, efficient muscles will help to absorb that shock and thus protect our skeletal system. And finally, speeding up our recovery time. So strength training is a known anti-inflammatory, and it's actually good for your brain health as well. Just as we've known for a long time about about exercise in general. Our muscles adapt to regular exercise, and the stronger they are, the more efficient they are, and therefore need less time to recover.
Thanks, Kerry.
So this is one of our favourite quotes, and we have very much lived by this quote since we first started Active Against Cancer a couple of years ago, and we like to think of ourselves as that pill. So if exercise was a pill, it would definitely be prescribed to every cancer patient.
So favourite, we nearly forgot about it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, so we were going to do these videos live, but what could possibly have gone wrong? So what we've done is we've turned into video editors over the last week and actually shot them so we can actually talk over them rather than do them live. It might have been quite calamitous. So what we're going to show you now are a number of exercises which will help you warm up, prepare your body to walk or run, and help to wake up the important muscles which will help you complete 5K your way. We've also included 1 or 2 technique drills which will help you more efficient at running or walking and help strengthen your body at the same time. Core muscles are very important for running and walking, so we've also included some simple examples of these as well. Although upper body exercises will contribute to your overall fitness and running and walking performance, we've concentrated more on lower limb strengthening today. So this list is by no means exhaustive. There are many more exercises that you can do, but hope this will give you a simple introduction into strength training for running or walking. If you add these into your preparation for 5K your way, we're sure they'll have a positive impact on your running and walking performance and make 5K your way even more enjoyable. So during the videos, we'll show you how you can progress, so make the exercises more challenging. And I think there's a recording of this, so don't worry if you miss anything. It will be available afterwards so you can replay them. You can do all of these exercises in a very tight space. You don't need any equipment, but you'll see from the videos having a little bit more space to do the warm-ups will help you progress. A clear driveway or something like that before you set off is ideal, really. We're often asked about sets and reps. So how many times should I do an exercise and how many times should I go through it? Well, that really depends on you. Everybody's different. So best advice I would give to everyone is start gently and build up to about 20 or 30 seconds for the warm-ups, and perhaps 8 to 15 repetitions for the exercises. So if you're just doing the exercises and not running or walking, perhaps you can do a few more. Okay, so first exercise. This is a really simple one, and this is a drill that will help you warm up and get your joints moving. This is called a toe roll. So you can do this either statically, so standing on the spot, or moving. Okay, Kerry. So on this one, we're just punching our knees forwards, punching our elbows backwards. The toes barely come off the floor. Tuck your hips under. So think of yourself of having a tail. Try and tuck that between the legs. Stand tall and relax your shoulders. Okay, so the next one is a dynamic hamstring warm-up. So hamstrings are muscles that are at the back of your thighs and are often a source of injury for runners. So this warm-up drill really helps prepare the backs of your legs for a greater range of movement. So again, you can do this either statically or moving. So put one leg forward and heel on the floor, push your hips backwards and upwards, and you'll feel that stretch on the back of your leg. Keep your chin up, hold for a split second, and move forward, changing to the other leg. For an extra stretch, you can see Kerry's foot there. She's really pulling her toe in towards the shin, and that'll increase the stretch on the back of the leg a little bit more. Now this exercise is slightly more advanced, and I advise you to do these as a reverse lunge like Kerry's demonstrating if you're just starting out. So try and encourage your front leg to do most of the work. So step forward, push through the heel and bring your back leg into standing, trying to squeeze your buttocks. That's the first time I've said buttocks, but we will be saying buttocks quite a lot. So this drill will really start to dynamically lengthen your thigh muscles and prepare your lower limbs for more vigorous use. So always try for a straight shin on the front leg, as you can see Kerry there. Now we're getting a little bit more complicated. But you can still do these drills statically and just watch Kerry, the way she performs these with a little bit of support from the wall to help with the balance. So the first one is an A skip. So this drill will help you practice your foot striking the floor in a more efficient way. So forefoot first, followed by a tap of the heel. and increasing your range of movement at the hip. So again, tucking your hips under, standing tall, lift the thigh to the horizontal position with a bent knee at 90 degrees. And you can advance these by adding a skip and advance them even further by adding movement. Now the B skip is virtually the same exercise, but you'll see from the video on this next one that you probably need a little bit more support. Kerry's using the wall for support. And at the top of the movement where we bend the knee to 90 degrees, we then straighten the leg. And we concentrate on trying to land the front foot onto the forefoot, as you can see Kerry doing there. So she's lifting impressively, I might add, and then striking down on the floor. Okay, so this last exercise, this really prepares the legs for knee flexion and weight transfer. So in normal language, that's bending the knees and transferring the weight from one leg to another, just like you do when you're walking or running. So simply practicing this exercise of weight transfer, as you can see Kerry doing there, will help really improve your leg strength. So again, static when you're starting out on these, and then adding a little bit of speed in, and then you can start with a little bit of movement. So I'm going to pass you over to Kerry now, who's going to give us some core and muscle activation exercises.
Okay, thanks, Steve. So as Steve said, we're going to now look at core and muscle activation, in particular activating those muscles around the pelvis, just really to make sure that you've got that good stability there with your core when you're upright. Okay, so we're going to start with heel sliders. These are really good exercises to get you used to moving your legs while you're keeping your core engaged. So you're going to start with your knees bent, your feet flat on the floor, and your knees and feet are going to be hip width apart. You'll notice that I'm just arching and flattening my back there. And that's a really good way to get the core engaged and start in a neutral position. When I refer to a neutral position as I'm going through each of these exercises, what I'm talking about is finding that position where you have a light contact with the mat underneath. You should feel that your stomach muscles have a tension, as if somebody had a piece of string attached to your tummy button and they were just gently tugging on that piece of string out through the back. So we're looking at kind of a 2 or 3 out of 10 tension. So you shouldn't be holding your breath and you shouldn't be squeezing really tightly, but you should feel like that those core muscles are engaged. The other thing that you must remember when you're doing any kind of exercise, but we tend to have this habit, particularly when we're doing core exercises, is holding our breath. Do make sure, and I'll talk you through as the exercise goes on, around making sure that you breathe during the exercises as well. So we've got core engaged, and then we're just going to slide that leg down and coming back up again, making sure that we keep the tension on with the tummy the whole time, but starting to utilize our hip flexors and extensors as well, and moving the leg. Okay, so next exercise on from this is something that we call leg lowers. And if anybody does Pilates, then they'll know about tabletop position and things like that. It's a progression. So just remember, as you're going through these exercises, start with the first one. Okay, so again, we're going to start in that neutral position again, finding that neutral position. Then we're going to raise one leg so that the hip and knee are at 90. Second leg comes up to join it. Now at this point, if your back starts to arch, then you've taken it too far, okay? That back must remain in a neutral position. Then from this position, we're just going to lower one leg down and bring it back up again. So this is a little bit more of a dynamic movement. And if you imagine in terms of its relationship to walking and running. From here, we're going to go into roll-ups. So again, we're starting in that neutral position. This time we're tucking the chin into the chest and rolling up. We call these roll-ups purely because you're going to roll up vertebra by vertebra, only lifting the first part of your shoulders up off the mat. So you'll see that I've got my palms of my hands are just slightly raised above the mat there, and I'm just reaching down towards my ankles. Now a progression from that roll up is into hollow body. Okay, this is quite an advanced move, but you'll see that I'll take it section by section. If at any point you feel like your back is starting to arch up off the mat, then come back to the beginning, start again, making sure that you just re-engage your core. So we start the movement with a roll up. You can see by my face, I know what's coming. Then it's arms, then it's legs and straighten out. Then you do the reverse to come back. So as you can see, you can do it in various different stages. Okay, so now that we've activated our core muscles, we can't forget about our glutes, or as Steve likes to call them, buttocks. Always reminds me of Forrest Gump. So we're going to start with the clamshells, which are quite a common exercise to do to try and activate your glutes. And your glutes are there to help to support your pelvis. So they're really important when you're doing any kind of dynamic movement, so walking or running. We're going to start in side lying this time and make sure that the soles of your feet are in line with your bum up through your back and then arms stretched out. You can use your top arm to either stabilize yourself to stop yourself from rocking side to side, or if you're managing okay, as you'll see, I'll take my hand up onto my hip. Keep your ankles together and you're just going to gently lift that top knee. Now, it's really important that you don't let yourself roll backwards, okay? So core needs to stay engaged, and then you're activating that glute muscle. And always remember, anything that we do on one side, just make sure you do it on the other so you don't end up with one side stronger than the other. The progression on from this is into a hip bridge, which some of you might have either seen or potentially even done yourself. So you're going to go back to starting in that neutral position again on your back with your feet flat on the floor. You're going to gently roll up each vertebra one by one. Now, it's really important with this movement that you make sure that you engage your glutes before you start to lift the hips, okay? So squeeze your bum cheeks in together, roll up one vertebra at a time, making sure that you're using that breath on the effort. Then if you want to progress it, you can then, as you can see in this video, extending the leg out in front. So that just reduces your base of support. And just like when we're running or walking, having that single leg weight bearing. Okay, I'm going to pass you back over to Steve and he's going to talk to you a little bit more about strength exercises.
Okay, thanks, Kerry. Okay, so number of strength exercises now. So as I said before, this list isn't exhaustive, but these are simple exercises to improve your lower limb strength. So probably, I've said this lots of times in classes, this is probably the best exercise in the world. And if you've ever done any of our classes, you'll know what this is. So this is a squat or a sit to stand. So this is essential for strengthening the thighs and bum, glutes and quads, okay? It'll really help increase the range at the hip, knee and ankle. Okay, so as you can see, I'm doing a sit to stand, Kerry's doing a free squat. So we're using very little momentum, pushing our weight through our heels and midfoot, up into standing, squeezing the glutes as we get to the top of the movement. And if you're doing this on a chair, it's a really good target to aim for because you can actually just touch the chair and come back up, or you can go into full seating as I'm doing there. Excellently choreographed. Well done. Okay, and the next exercise. Now, a standing hip hitch. Now, this is a really subtle movement, but it's great exercise to help strengthen the glute muscles. So these are muscles we don't often use because we sit on them too much. Okay, and we need to strengthen them. And these are excellent for making us a much more efficient runner. So we're standing with our feet close together, straight leg on the standing leg, and we're just hitching one hip as high as we can get it and then placing it really subtly down onto the floor. Okay, if you do 5 or 6 good ones of these, you'll really start to feel it. Now, Kerry's showing the progression there. She's actually standing on a box so she can get a little bit of extra range so she can drop a foot lower than her hip is already. Okay. Next exercise is a calf raise. So this exercise will help strengthen the muscles at the back of the leg and strengthen the ankle and feet. Now that's pretty important when you're going to walk or run 5K. Okay, so we're both using a little bit of support here. So we're coming feet hip width apart, coming up onto the toe, holding at the top. You'll really feel the muscles at the back of the knee just below, working really, really hard on these. Now, Kerry's going to show you the progression here by coming up onto 2 feet and then dropping down onto 1. This is going to help a lot of the tendons in the back of your leg strengthen. It's important if you do start running, and it'll really help you increase the range of movement at that ankle. Okay, so we run and walk by placing one leg in front of the other. So why not practice standing on one leg? Because we effectively run and walk and we're on one leg for an awful long time. So this will really help strengthen all those muscles in the lower limbs, especially the glutes. So first of all, balance is not your best thing. You need to get some support. So use a wall or a chair, okay? So at this point here, we're going to lift the knee. We don't need to lift it up to 90, but what we're going to try and do is put the majority of the weight in our heel and midfoot on our standing leg and put a little bit of a bend in that knee. And now at this point, this is where you really need to try and squeeze your bum. So squeeze your bum on the side of the standing leg. After a few seconds, you'll start and feel it kicking in. After 20 seconds, you'll really feel it start to work hard. Now, this next exercise, this is great for strengthening the thighs, okay? And if you've never done this exercise before, you really need to start with the progression, which Kerry's demonstrating on the video, okay? And really just gradually work closer down to the floor. Now, as you can see there, I'm pushing hard through my feet to keep myself propped up against the wall, okay? My thighs are burning there, but I'm pushing through my heels and midfoot again, and we're looking for a vertical shin. You don't want your knees to drop past your toes. Now you need to concentrate on your breathing. You must not hold your breath on this exercise. As people in my classes have often heard, breathing is compulsory, okay? Especially on this exercise. But if you get to about 20 to 30 seconds on this exercise, you'll really feel your thighs burning, and it will really help strengthen those lower limbs that you need for 5K your way.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Steve. So I'm just going to finish off by talking about a couple of things sort of more in relation to, I guess, the safety aspects and all the other little bits that we need to think about during strength training and any exercise, really. So first and foremost, bone health. If you know your cancer has spread to your bones, or your medical team has told you you are at risk of this, you should modify your exercise. The main action to avoid is torsion. So this is a type of twisting movement. So for example, if you're stood with your feet on the floor and you turn to reach for something, but you don't step your feet round, that can cause that torsion, that twisting movement in the lower leg. As I've already said, strength training reduces the impact on joints and bones by improving the supporting structures. Strength training also applies load to tendons, which in turn encourages increased bone density, so the porosity of your bones, and it also stimulates bone growth. You will also improve your bone health by exerting force onto your body and skeletal system. And you'll remember when I mentioned earlier about when you go out for a walk, and if, like me, you take lots of steps, so there's lots of shock going through that body. But that's good to have, and it's good to have an element of force being exerted. We would always, where appropriate, encourage any weight-bearing exercises, because that is what's going to help to keep developing this bone health and to keep everything well. It's widely accepted that mechanical load induced by any exercise training increases the muscle mass, produces mechanical stress in the skeleton, and enhances osteoblast activity, which is essentially bone development. Resistance exercises has been highlighted as one of the most promising interventions to maintain or increase bone mass and density. This is because a variety of muscular loads, as me and Steve have spoken about throughout this presentation, are applied onto the bone during resistance exercises, which generate stimuli and promote an osteogenic response of the bone. It's important as part of keeping well to keep your bones healthy. And if you experience any of the following, you should inform your GP or your cancer team immediately. So any new bone pain in the vertebral column, so in your spine, particularly if it is worse at night. Bone pain on weight bearing, and any worsening or bone pain that you're unable to settle at any time. Any new back or neck pain, particularly if it comes on without any pre-exposing injury. Pain that increases rapidly or radiates in a band-like fashion around the chest or abdomen. Numbness or pins and needles in toes, fingers, or your buttocks. If you start to find that you're more unsteady on your feet than usual, with nothing really to explain why. Any progressive weakness in your legs, or any unexplained bladder or bowel problems. So it's important in terms of keeping well that you have recovery periods between your periods of exercise or physical activity. High quality rest and relaxation periods should be incorporated into any program of physical activity to enable that the body can recuperate. Good sleep is also important, as I'm sure we probably all agree. And while sleep can actually be disrupted for people who have cancer or having any cancer treatment, staying active can in itself improve your sleep quality. So nutrition and hydration, we often get asked lots of questions about this, and there may be some specific advice that you need to take from your cancer specialists. However, some points to remember. Ensure that you're meeting your calorie requirements. If there is one thing that I love about exercising, it means I can eat more. So make sure that you meet your calorie requirements, but with the appropriate fuel. You need to make sure that you maintain a healthy weight. So that means not losing too much weight, as Steve spoke about earlier, as well as gaining too much weight. So we do allow you to consume some extra calories. Make sure that you're fueling appropriately, both before and after exercise. Again, some great reasons to have some food. Something light and low fat, 90 minutes to an hour before a session. And then something after a session that preferably contains a bit of protein and some carbohydrates. If you're going to try and do something longer, and when I say longer, anything over sort of 45 minutes, you need to consider having some kind of nutrition during that session. Now that's very kind of personable to you really, and sometimes you need to have a little bit of a play around with what might work for you. Me, I quite like a cheese sandwich when I'm halfway around a bike session, but if I try and do when I'm running, it ends badly. Hydration. You'll have heard all your cancer specialists harp on about hydration, but it really is so important, particularly if you are going to be doing some additional exercise. making sure that you're keeping up with your hydration levels. And, you know, we always talk about just keeping an eye on the colour of your pee. That's generally the easiest way to know how well hydrated you are. Again, you may have been given some specific advice regarding your cancer in terms of hydration. So do just make sure that you consult with any of your team if you're unsure. But water is absolutely fine. You know, there's lots of fancy drinks and things out there, but usually water will suffice. In certain instances, you shouldn't do strength training, namely if you have a low platelet count or if you are known to have bony metastases. As I've said all the way through, if you have any concerns about your bone health or anything to relate to your health with regards to your cancer or otherwise, we would advise that you discuss this with your healthcare team, but certainly before undertaking any new resistance exercises. And finally, to finish, we all like to talk about footwear. Trainers. They need to have some kind of good support, particularly important for those of you that may have experienced peripheral neuropathy as a side effect of your treatment. In some cases, you may benefit from actually having your feet assessed to see kind of whether you have potentially got dropped arches, so the natural curve in your foot. And I have seen instances of patients who have had some treatment, and as a result, it's actually affected the structure of the foot. I do always encourage people to have lace-ups because this will allow for some adaptation. Some people's feet will swell, and so if you've got that lace-up, you're always going to know that your footwear is providing good support for you. Make sure you look after your feet. Your feet are a great place to get infected, and things like your toenails really need to be managed. I would always encourage people, particularly when they're first starting out, doing a little bit more exercise, just to make sure that you keep a really good eye on your feet, okay? So make sure that you check the soles of your feet as well as the tops and around the sides. When we're talking about footwear, giving yourself a bit of time to break those trainers in, try not to go out and do too much all at once, and really take care of your feet. They keep you moving, so they just need a little bit of extra TLC. When you're looking at footwear, do try and look at something that will provide some cushioning and shock absorption. Whilst we've talked about our muscles being a really good shock absorber, and we have natural shock absorbers throughout our whole body, taking a decent pair of trainers that's got a little bit more cushioning can just help to absorb some of that. And my final point of the day, which Steve laughed at, always wear socks. As I've talked about looking after your feet, if you wear a pair of socks, you're going to reduce any of those issues around developing blisters and things like that. So we would always recommend that you wear socks. Thank you ever so much for your time today. We've really enjoyed it, and we're happy to. I'm just going to try and sort of be really technologically savvy now and see if I can get back onto a main screen. We'll put the camera back on so you can see us, and we'll have a look and see if there's any questions in the chat.
Hi, Kerry and Steve. Thanks so much for that. That was really, really interesting. I thought the videos were great, and I could tell your video editing skills were fab as well. So it'll be great to show this recording, and then anyone can catch up with those videos afterwards. And obviously you can pause it and have a go yourself. So that'd be fab. Oh, we can see you again. Excellent. Brill. Yeah, so thank you so much for that. That was really interesting. I learned loads, and yeah, it sounds like what you've got in Harrogate Active Against Cancer sounds brilliant. And I think we've got some of the people that join you in your classes on this call, haven't you?
Yes, yeah, we have. So thank you everybody that knows us for supporting us. We've been harping on about it and sharing it lots on our social media, and it's great to see lots of names that we don't know as well, and we really hope that that's been useful to people. I think we're still recording, Georgie. Do you want me to pause that now, or do you want me to leave it to keep going?
Yeah, let's say thank you to the recording, and then if anybody wants to speak and have any questions, then you won't be on the recording. So thanks to everyone listening to the recording, and thanks again to Kerry and Steve. So yeah, if you just want to pause that, that'd be great.
Okay.